that whenever these incidents happen, local movements form around that family and those people for justice. And that's kind of the real movement structure right now of the Black movement. Not like the old time when King was the prophetic Messiah. It's more organic from the bottom up. And we're seeing, even with the violence, that's not something that Black elites will tolerate, right, or support. But the young people said the only way we're going to get America's attention is to set, you know, a police department on fire. You know, the headquarters in Minneapolis, when that police department substation caught on fire, the symbolism of it was that we no longer respect your authority, so now you have to use your power. Much like parents, when our children, you know, don't respect our authority, what do? We resort to power. Get over here right now. And that's law enforcement. They've lost their authority, the respect we had for the badge, those of us that had any respect for it. But now they resort to trying to beat it into us. And I think it was a fatal decision. I think the Black movement should commend itself. It has done a wonderful job of agitating, of bringing these issues to bear. They have America talking seriously about reparations. In my lifetime, I'm old enough to remember it was not a non-starter with Black folk. Now we got 30% white people supporting the idea, and that is an all-time high. And other folk will look at it and say, whoa, only 30% white support it. Well, a political scientist like me says, I remember when it was 9%. So the fact that it's 30% in one lifetime, keep on moving, because it's coming if you keep agitating. And last night I was all over the news and today suggesting that we need to politicize Juneteenth and get behind it for a national holiday. That's what I mean by politicize it, in the same way we did for the Martin Luther King birthday. We need to form a decade-long Black movement beginning now, agitating for a Juneteenth holiday to officially commemorate the end of slavery in America, because nothing else we have on paper, not the Emancipation Proclamation or Gettysburg Address, acknowledges the humanity of Blacks or the right of them to move on after slavery. Lincoln owed us a different kind of statement after the Emancipation Proclamation. That was a military command, or that was an executive order. He owed us an affirmative speech that should be recorded for all history, that talks about the importance of African-American people in America's history and what America owes it permanently for the permanent injury it put on Black people. America can never, ever, 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 ever pay for its sin against Black people. And we are always the proof that they are not who they say they are. And therefore, they must pay reparations permanently from now on. And anybody talking to you about checks is an ignorant person. What I mean by reparations is fundamentally the American government declares a cease war, a cease battle, a détente, an end to war, the 400-year-long war that the American state has been at with Black America since they brought them here in chains. And I know you might think that's exaggerated, but think about this. Name one police department in America that is Black, that polices white people. Not one. I thought Arlington, Virginia was the one place. I looked at that data recently, and that's not even accurate anymore. So white people don't know what it's like to have non-whites policing them. Black people have only lived with mainly with non-Blacks policing them for most of their history. And what people don't know is policing in America rose up with Black folk moving into the cities around the same time. In the 1860s, as soon as we get free, law enforcement is maturing in America, and it's training itself mainly on the Irish, who are poor amongst the Irish law enforcement and amongst the Italians, but always amongst us, always the Black. The Negro has always been the enemy of the American law enforcement establishment, and I'm not an extremist. I work with SFPD on 2 committees. I'm just telling you what I know as a scholar. This is a fact. This is not hyperbole. John Brown said that slavery was a condition of war, and going into Africa, taking people, was an act of war. We gave this up as a concept as a people with the Civil War, because we pretty much stopped thinking of ourselves as a separate nation within a nation once the Civil War happened, because we then began to think about our citizenship rather than going back to Africa or whatever. So this becomes, I think, important to understand when you think about what's at stake for Black people in all of this, is that African Americans need the police to call off its war on them. They have been at war with us for decades, since the 1860s. In every police department, wherever we are, check, Google. I can show you the research if you want me You can look at the book called Something's in the Air, Race, Crime, and Marijuana Legalization by me and 2 other people. And you will see, we document how in every county in America, and every state in America, from Hawaii to Vermont, from Florida to Montana, Black people are overrepresented in the prisons in every state in America. The Black prison population is higher than the Black population everywhere in America, and nobody seems to know it, including Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Hawaii. Blacks are overrepresented in prisons compared to their citizenship in the states. So in every state in America, this country as a whole has a whole bunch of Black folk living as a captive nation within a nation. And if America is serious, it will do what the Panthers said in the 10-point plan. It will do what the Black Nation of Islam asked for. Let all the brothers out, not the rapists, not the murderers, not the ones who've done real harm to people, but all of those who deserve a second chance, who made mistakes, who should have been paroled and y'all won't parole them, who should be off probation so he can get or she can get a second chance. She wants to go home to her children and y'all still got her in jail, and then y'all mock us for our family situation. How demonic can it be? You mock our children for not having families the way you think they should be. But then you ignore all the research that says, where are the Black men? Where are the mothers? 1.5 million Black men and women are in chains or under parole or on probation. 4 million altogether. And we think it's just the police. We have to go after the prosecutors in every county. We have to go for the judges. We have to go after the Supreme Court. I'm serious. That's why Trump has to be beat, because the next 2 up are Democrats. And that's who Trump gets to replace. And this stuff will last
in the Supreme Court. This will
last 70 years if Trump gets 2 more in. So this is life or death, people. If you're playing around, if you're in Cali, this is going to be blue. But you need to send your green money everywhere else in America. You need to be sending money and support and encouraging people in places where you got friends in Georgia, in Kentucky, in Louisiana, in Virginia, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in Wisconsin. You got friends in Milwaukee you ain't talked to. Email and say, hey, buddy, what's going on? Haven't talked to you in a few years. I need you to go vote. I did that to my old roommate, a white dude in Denver, Colorado, during the Obama run. I'm like, look, brother, I ain't talked to you in a minute, but I need you to get you and your family to vote for Obama. And I reached out to them, and I assume they did. My point is, this is not about the election being won in 2020. This is about whether America takes a fatal turn to permanent apartheid again. And if I sound ridiculous to you for mentioning apartheid, because you think we don't have such a thing like they had in South Africa, that's because you've been brainwashed not to even recognize that Jim Crow was nothing but apartheid that lasted twice as long as South Africa's did. In fact, South Africa studied our Jim Crow system, just like the Nazis studied not the Weimar Republic, but the Nuremberg laws in order to segregate them, the Jews in Europe and in Germany. So the Nazis and the Afrikaners studied American segregation in order to implement their systems. So we are the mothership of apartheid. If I sound ridiculous that America can't go apartheid again, you have to realize somebody 70 years old, somebody 60 years old right now in America, somebody 59 years old in America right now was under American apartheid in this lifetime. It was called Jim Crow, and that's what Martin Luther King was all about, getting rid of apartheid. So if you think that in 2 generations it can't swing back on us, you are ignoring the history of American presidential politics. It just takes one election, 1876, set Black people back.